Imagine putting a 1-year-old in a totally strange room, having their mom walk out, and then, using the kid's reaction to predict their entire psychological future.
It sounds completely wild.
Right. But in the 1970s, that actually became the gold standard of psychology. Welcome to your custom deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack a stack of psychological research notes to explore how human attachment is measured across different cultures.
Yeah, and to really understand how we measure that bond, we have to look at Mary Ainsworth's strange situation. It's this 8-stage controlled observation.
Okay, so how does it actually work?
Well, researchers put an infant and their caregiver in a room, and then they introduce these separations. They bring in a stranger and then observe the reunions. The whole goal is to see how the infant handles anxiety and, whether they're willing to explore.
So researchers are literally sitting behind a two-way mirror, just watching how a baby reacts when mom leaves and comes back. What exactly are they looking for?
Ainsworth actually categorized the reactions into 3 main attachment styles. The most common one is secure attachment.
Which is about 70% of kids, right?
Exactly. These infants get upset when the caregiver leaves, which is totally natural, but they are easily comforted upon return.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's kind of like watching a child at a new playground. They'll run off to explore the slide, but they keep looking back to make sure their parent is still sitting right there on the bench.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, they're using the caregiver as a literal secure base.
Right, and because they have that secure base, they don't panic. But compare that to the insecure avoidant infants. They make up about 15%. They seem totally unbothered when the mother leaves and actually actively avoid her when she returns.
Oh, wow. Why do they do that?
This happens when a caregiver is chronically unresponsive. The child learns that signaling for help just doesn't work, so they shut down their attachment system to protect themselves.
You just give up trying to get comfort. That's so sad. Then there's the third group, right? The insecure resistant kids.
Yeah, another 15%. Now, these infants are extremely distressed by the separation. They become super clingy, but when the parent returns, they actively reject comfort.
Wait, they reject it. Why?
It's usually linked to inconsistent caregiving. If a parent is sometimes smothering the child with attention but other times ignoring them, the child learns they have to scream and cling just to get their needs met.
I see.
But because they can't trust the parent to stay consistent, they reject the comfort when they finally get it. It's just a defense mechanism.
So Ainsworth proves her test is highly reliable for American kids in the 1970s. But, parenting isn't universal. How do these secure or insecure labels hold up when you take them to a completely different culture?
Well, researchers Van Eisendorn and Kroonenberg wanted to find out. They ran this massive meta-analysis of nearly 2,000 infants across 8 different countries.
That is a huge sample size.
It is. And while secure attachment was still the most common baseline globally, at about 65%, the variations were huge. Like, Germany showed much higher rates of the avoidant type.
And Japan and Israel showed much higher rates of the resistant type, right? Let's look at why that happens. Because it feels like we're just judging other cultures by American norms.
That's exactly what's happening.
Like, take those Japanese infants, categorized as resistant because of their extreme distress. In their culture, infant caregiver separation is incredibly unusual.
Right, it rarely happens.
So, of course, they panic when left alone in a strange room. It's not a sign of inconsistent parenting at all. It's just a cultural difference in child rearing.
The researchers actually called out this ethnocentrism. The Japanese infants are reacting totally normally for their environment, but the American scoring system basically penalizes them for it.
I have to question if this test even reflects the real world. What researchers call ecological validity. If a mom knows she's being watched through a two-way mirror, she's going to suffer from demand characteristics.
Oh, for sure.
She's essentially going to put on her best behavior because she knows what the researchers want to see. She won't act like she normally does at home on a random Tuesday morning.
It's a highly artificial setup, no doubt. But despite those flaws, the meta-analysis uncovered something genuinely surprising.
What was that?
When looking at all the data, there is actually more variation in attachment styles within individual cultures than there is between different cultures.
Wait, really? Meaning the parenting style of an urban family in Tokyo might actually look more like an urban family in New York than it does a rural family in Japan.
Exactly. The socioeconomic factors, the local environment, whether both parents work those localized factors drive way more variation in attachment behavior than broad national borders do.
So what does this all mean for you listening at home?
Yeah.
It tells us that while secure attachment is the most common baseline worldwide, the tools we use to measure it have inherent cultural blind spots.
They really do.
Assigning these global labels is basically like trying to grade a Spanish essay using an English dictionary. The behavior isn't wrong, the grading rubric is just blind to the language.
That's a perfect analogy. You know, we started by talking about the difficulty of predicting human bonds. I'll leave you with this. If these rigid labels, secure, avoidant, resistant, are assigned based on a highly stressful artificial lab test in infancy, how accurately can they really dictate the complexity of the relationships you will form decades later as an adult?